You did everything right. You checked to make sure that your doctor accepted your insurance. You picked an in-network hospital, and then a bill shows up. And somehow, part of it comes back as out of network. How's that even happen? Today, I'm going to show you what in-network really means and the moments when it can quietly change on you without anyone even saying a word. I'm Steve Corbett. I spent 25 years helping families navigate exactly things like this. And I run Cornerstone Health Advocates right here in Western Massachusetts. So let's go ahead and let's figure this out together. So what really tends to trip people up with this whole in-network, out-of-network conversation is that it can change on you. We'll jump into a little bit of these things as we go along. But in-network, really, all that means is that the provider that you're seeing or the facility you're going to, they've signed a contract with your insurance company. That's it. They've made a contract with them. They negotiated a discount rate for whatever procedure it is. It's really just a business deal. It's not a quality rating either. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get better care or less care from an in-network versus out-of-network provider. And the network's not just one thing, right? Your doctor can be in-network while in one hospital and then out-of-network at another hospital. The lab running your blood work can be out-of-network, and the individual reading your x-rays, they could be out-of-network. Everything's moving around, and somebody can be in-network today and then 6 months from now be out-of-network. The same hospital will be in-network with other health insurance companies and out-of-network with yours. Really, it's the logo on the outside doesn't really matter. It's whether or not they have that agreement with your particular insurance company. And as you change companies, you'll notice that maybe this year your company has insurance company X, all your doctors were in network. Then next year, they have insurance company Y. You got to start all over again trying to figure it out. And then emergencies, they're their own beast, really, right? You don't have the opportunity to decide whether or not, you don't have the opportunity to shop, right? At least when you're getting an elective procedure or scheduling an appointment with a different doctor, you have time to go ahead and just do the due diligence and find out if they're in network. Emergencies are, again, just a whole different beast. Before we go any further, while we're on the topic of emergencies, just a quick tip. There is actual federal legislation out there. It's called prudent layperson legislation. And really what it says is that if you, as a prudent layperson, meaning somebody who does not have detailed knowledge of medical diagnoses and things of that nature, but if you believe it's an emergency, then the insurance company needs to treat the facility you're going to as in network. And there's some guidelines to it. You can't stub your toe and walk into the emergency room and get care if they're out and expect for it to be paid in network. It's something like maybe it's 2:00 in the morning and your 2-year-old won't stop screaming. You don't know what's going on. And then you go and get a diagnosis of ear infection, right? Not anything urgent or emergency, but in that moment when your child was screaming, you didn't know what was going on. And so that's just a bit of a side on the emergency. Those typically should always, regardless whether or not they're in your provider's network, if it is a true emergency, it should be something that should be paid as in network. And that goes across the country, because one of the other limitations with networks is that they're geographically limited. You could be part of an insurance company where, like out here in Western Massachusetts, we have a particular insurance company where their network is just out here in Western Massachusetts. Or you could have one that has the entire New England network. So those are other things. But as we're talking about emergencies, regardless of where you're at, if you have a home network here in Western Massachusetts and you happen to be traveling in California and you fall down and break your arm and you go to the emergency room, that's going to be considered in network, regardless if they have a contract with your insurance company. But back to the things that we can do that are within our control as we're trying to make these decisions. First and foremost, you want to verify with your insurance company, not the doctor's office, whether or not they're in network. I've run into this a ton of times, helping somebody kind of try to figure out if their doc's in network or they're maybe changing from one carrier to another and they need some help trying to figure out if their doctor is in their network. So a lot of times I'll be even looking online. You can look online on the Find a Docs for the insurance companies. I find that those aren't always up to date. There could be a lag as to whether or not. And I've had situations where I don't see them on the Find a Doc. So I call up the doctor's office and they're like, oh yeah, we take that particular health insurance company. But I'm like, I'm still not feeling super confident. So I will personally call the insurance company. I'll call a contact that I have there and I'll ask them directly. And I'll ask them actually to check with the provider relations department, provider contracting department, not provider relations. So the provider contracting department to find out, because they have the most up-to-date information in provider contracting. So that's kind of like a bit of an insider thing that we can help you out with if we're helping you navigate this. The other thing that you're really going to want to ask, especially if this is an elective procedure, so at least you're going into things eyes wide open, is as you're planning this out, ask your doctor, ask who's ever coordinating your care in this situation, is everyone who will touch my care in network? And that's important because a lot of times what'll happen, and this happens all the time with anesthesiologists, you're going in for an inpatient surgery or an outpatient surgery, you plan it, you go in, you go on to anesthesia, and then all of a sudden you start getting bills from the anesthesiologist because they're out of network. These things should be disclosed to you up front, and there's things to help you navigate the process if it does happen. But these are great questions to ask up front. Again, anesthesia, radiology, pathology, and assistant surgeons. These are the top 4 heavy hitters when it comes to being out of network. And I always say, look at it this way, right? An anesthesiologist, they don't have to be in network. Think about it. What are you going to go under the knife and you get a knee replacement and not get put under? No, you do need the anesthesiologist. But even like radiology and pathology, those are 2 ones where a lot of times the facility is covered, but the person who's actually reading the test is not. So that's what you want to check, right? We also alluded to this a little bit earlier. Networks change every year. So you're going to want to make sure you check when your insurance is renewing. Again, you may be changing to a new network. You may be staying with the same insurance company and they get a new network. So you really want to make sure you're doing this due diligence every year, especially for like your primary care physician. And maybe if there's specialists that you just need to see on a regular basis, you just want to make sure that you're kind of going through that process with every renewal. The other thing is I just want to bring up to you, I'm not going to dive into the details of it, but just know it's called No Surprises Act. It was an act passed in 2022. And it's really for emergencies and for out-of-network providers at in-network facilities. It's really just all this stuff's supposed to be disclosed to you up front. And if the balance bill shows up and it wasn't disclosed to you up front, it's a surprise bill and they're trying to bill you for out-of-network services or out-of-network charges. These are all things that should be covered on an in-network basis. So that's the No Surprises Act of 2022. This is very important. I actually recommend this for whatever you're doing, whether it's network, whether it's billing. Keep a paper trail. You want to keep names, dates, reference numbers. Ask for reference numbers when you have these conversations when possible. This way, when and if you get that bill in the mail and you're looking at it and you find that there's some errors in it or something that wasn't disclosed, you now have a paper trail to turn back onto. So I know this is a lot of work and there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of. I was just having a conversation today with a coworker and she was just explaining how every step of the way with insurance, with health insurance these days, it seems like you're just swimming upstream. And that's what we're here for. So if you're struggling with this, if you have a bill where you're looking at things coming up out of network, or maybe you have a procedure coming up and you just want to reach out to somebody for some advice, that's exactly the thing that we here at Cornerstone Advocates are looking to do. So the first consultation is always free. We never charge for that. It's not a sales pitch or anything like that either. It's just give us a call. We'll help out. If we need to do a follow-up consultation, we do have a sliding scale, but don't ever let that get in the way either. The reason why I established and I created Cornerstone Health Advocates as a nonprofit is so that we can actually help you out regardless, no matter what. So again, if you have something coming up and you need some help with it, reach out to us. We'll do the best we can to help you out. And do me a favor, kind of just like and share the video, because I guarantee you one of your friends may be running into this situation as we speak. So thank you very much and have a great day.